Top 6 Rundown. Top 6 Rundown.
All right, welcome everybody to College Football Top 6 Rundown. I'm Charles in charge.
And I am Marvin G.
We're going to start off, get right into it with the SEC. Number 1 Alabama remains there. They won 35-10 over Virginia Tech last week, and they're off this week. Alabama seemed to struggle a little bit offensively. They're going to have to play better offense to beat Texas A&M next week. Number 6 South Carolina, they beat North Carolina 27-10. But I don't really think that's a reflection on North Carolina being bad, or South Carolina being good, more as North Carolina's offense just being inept.
Yeah.
And they'll be playing at number 11 Georgia this week. They're going to have to play less lazy on defense and score a few more points to win, probably. Number 7 Texas A&M, they beat Rice 52-31 after looking awful without Johnny Manziel. And what do you think of his off-the-field stuff and his on-the-field stuff?
I think once they actually play Alabama, which, that seems to be the rivalry here, it's going to come back to haunt him if he keeps this up.
There's only so much taunting you can get away with before someone just knocks you out. Number 9, LSU, they move up 3 spots after knocking off TCU 37-27, and they play UAB this week. And we only have one real question there. Can LSU generate enough offense to be a contender in the SEC West? I think if Mettenberger is still the quarterback, the answer is no.
No.
Georgia drops 6 spots to number 11 after losing the game of the week. And we were right, it was the game of the week. And they lose by 3 to Clemson. And will Georgia's defense play good enough to beat South Carolina?
That will be something to watch for.
I'm going to go ahead and say Georgia wins this because they're at home, but it won't be an easy win. And
not at all.
I don't think they'll be... they might have screwed themselves in the SEC East, but we'll see. Florida loses 2 spots down to 12, even though they beat Toledo 24-6.
But it wasn't a very high margin of points that they won by.
And they just didn't look like they wanted to win. And they're going to be playing at Miami this week. Do you think Miami pulls off the stunner?
I think Miami will be able to.
Oh, you heard it right here. Arvin's calling Miami. All right. Big 12, number 13, Oklahoma State looked very good against Mississippi State. They won 21-3. We didn't see high-flying offense like we're used to.
But still,
we saw a solid defense.
Yeah, especially against a team that's supposed to be a good defensive team because they're part of the SEC, Mississippi State.
We saw good defense out of Oklahoma State. They play like that, they'll win the Big 12.
Yes.
All right, number 15, Texas. They won 56-7 against New Mexico State. Not surprising. Be on the lookout at BYU, but they'll still probably win. Number 16, Oklahoma. They beat Louisiana Monroe last week, 34-0. That was bad by Louisiana Monroe. West Virginia this week. We wish we were seeing this game 3 years ago. Not going to be exciting. Baylor enters the rankings at number 23 after a 69-3 thrashing of Wofford. And their schedule is pretty favorable, playing Buffalo this week until they play those last 3 games in the Big 12, and then we'll see if they're really for real. They're playing at Oklahoma State, at TCU, and versus Texas. TCU falls all the way to number 24, barely in the rankings still after losing 27-37 against LSU. They play Southeast Louisiana this week. They'll probably win, but I don't know if they make it past Texas Tech in the next week after this. So that's what I have to say about that. Pac-12.
All right, next conference is the Pac-12. First, we have number 2, Oregon. They won 66-3.
And earned a spot higher in the rankings.
They play Virginia this week. It could be a trap game for them, but Oregon, even with a different coach, we've seen that their offense is still pretty explosive. Next up is number 5, Stanford. They did not play this week. It was a bye week for them. They play against San Jose State this week, and it should actually be a blowout, but you never know. Next up is number 18, UCLA. They won 58-20 to Nevada, which was a shock. I thought Nevada was going to win.
I told you that Nevada's ruck's got to run out sometime.
Yep, and there you have it. Next up is number 20, Washington. They stunned number 19, Boise State, 39-6 at home last week. They'll be playing at Illinois this week, and I think it will be Washington that wins because Illinois is kind of like a Big Ten bottom feeder. And number 25 USC, they won 30-13 against Hawaii, so it looked like the jet lag really didn't have any effect on the game.
Although they dropped a spot in the rankings, the voters aren't quite as confident in them.
Right. And they play versus Washington State this week. Should be an easy game for them.
Although they should watch out. Mike Leach almost defeated Auburn the week before.
Oh, yeah. And then last of the Pac-12 teams is Oregon State. They fell from the rankings after losing against Eastern Washington. I did not see that coming. I thought Oregon State was still going to be as explosive as they were last season.
And they were on offense, just not on defense.
All right.
And you can't give up 49 points to a subdivision team. It's just not good for you. All right, Big Ten. You know, I'm a Midwestern guy. I got this. Ohio State drops to number 3 after only beating Buffalo 40-20. I know we're saying only, and it's a 20-point win. But they looked great in the first half, and then in the second half, they just seemed to not give a crap and really let Buffalo back in the game a little bit. We won't really know about them, though, until they play Wisconsin and Northwestern back-to-back. Number 17, Michigan, is going to host Notre Dame this week, who's number 14.
Should be an interesting
They beat
game.
Central Michigan 59-9 last week. I was a little shocked the score was so high. We'll call this the game of the week. And I'm going to tell you right now, Notre Dame has talked way too much junk, and they're not that good, and Michigan wins this game.
Favoring
And that's my upset of the week. Wisconsin moves up 2 in the rankings to number 21. They beat UMass 45-0. It's a good win. The defense was great, but they need to find a little bit more of a passing attack if they think they're going to contend in the Big Ten this year, because Stavi seemed to not really hit many receivers for a while there until the defense was worn down from the running game. Nebraska falls 4 spots to number 22, beating Wyoming by a field goal last week, and they play Southern Miss this week, which they'll probably win. But you got to factor in that they're going to play UCLA in 2 weeks. I don't think Nebraska stays in the rankings. Voters and me are not very impressed. The ACC, Clemson has really raised the stock of the ACC. And I think we'll see a bunch of unranked teams in the ACC suddenly start becoming ranked. Clemson's now number 4. They beat Georgia 38-35 at home. They play South Carolina State this week. A nice little way to rest up for a while. And the question is, will they play consistent enough to win the national title on both sides of the ball?
That is still yet to see.
Florida State moves up a spot with a win. They won 41-13 at Pittsburgh, which was stunning to us. We thought Pittsburgh had a real chance in that game. And they play versus Nevada this week. The question, though, is FSU's young quarterback, while he was really great, will he be able to keep doing this week in and week out? I mean, that's just week 1, you know. And then in the AEC, what an embarrassing week, you know. Connecticut losing to Towson, you know, and Louisville moves up 1 in the rankings, 49-7. They're going to play Eastern Kentucky this week. They beat Ohio. The schedule's holding back any opportunity this team has to really be something we care about. Their only tough opponent this year should be Cincinnati. Heisman Watch. Teddy Bridgewater and Taj Boyd's stock seems to be rising, in my opinion. Braxton Miller's and A.J. McCarron's are kind of just staying the same. And Clowney and Aaron Murray just saw their stock take a tumble. I think anyone who really watched the South Carolina-North Carolina game would say, you know, that Clowney guy didn't really take hold of the game like everybody said he was going to.
Too much hype and just not enough output.
And just a lot of wheezing. All right, and our wild card game of the week is Western Kentucky at Tennessee. Bobby Petrino started off by knocking off one SEC opponent. Can he win again against another one against the Tennessee program that was awful last year? And they got a brand new coach, Butch Jones from Cincinnati. What do you think, Arvin?
I think Tennessee will have this one.
I'm going with Western.
All
I think Western comes in there, and if that offense plays like it did last week, it'll win again. Stay tuned and keep on commenting. We'll have a separate comments video for you all to watch.
Check that out.
Thank you, and this has been Charles in Charge.
And this is RVG.
Top 6 rundown. Top 6 rundown.